Hey everyone, today we have Marques Young, aka Qsound, coming all the way from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Marques is dropping all kinds of hints about how he manages his multifaceted career as a symphony musician, a professor, and a hip hop artist.
Everybody, welcome back. We're so excited to have the Marques Young, aka Qsound, in the building. Marques, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Marques is coming all the way from Malaysia, so you see that little purple haze in the background. It's dark. It's because it's actually nighttime.
Nighttime over there, morning over here.
Just want to let people know.
Already.
But he is our fellow Black American, and we are so excited to chat with you about your life. Not like your whole life, but you know, the pieces you want to share with our audience and just your musical career. So
definitely. So Marques, could you just let our audience know, who is Marques Young and how you developed into Qsound, where you grew up, your background?
Man, well, Marques is this cat from Arkansas who was just me, and I grew up like everybody, started in a band program under a really great teacher named Gordon Manley on the euphonium, and I eventually switched to trombone I think when I was like 16 to play in one of the jazz bands at school, did the all-state, all-region thing. And eventually moved out of Arkansas to go to New York, study with Joe Alessi, where I focused on classical music, and then I focused on jazz music. And Qsound kind of evolved because I had a couple of gig opportunities over here in Malaysia, and I just wanted to put a brand name on the gig. And Qsound was just like a name I came up with when I was throwing ideas together. So, and it happened to stick, and so that's just what I've been riding with since, because that's just what it is. So, and I think that's pretty much it. Qsound kind of developed through a couple of ways. I mean, obviously, like having a lot of jazz influence when I was early in my studies. Coming to Malaysia was a huge culture shock for me, but it was also a musical shock because, living in New York City, everybody is on the straight ahead tip. We're really, really deep into jazz. And here, people are into it, but it's like they're into a lot of other things too. So the scene is quite, it's got a lot of different types of perspectives is what they do for the music. And so being over here for so long, I just figured how to get the music to kind of represent what the musicians are doing out here. And so that's how we came up with the whole concept of Qsound, which is it's kind of jazz, but it has a lot of R&B, some hip hop, because I love hip hop. And then every now and then, we'll even do some orchestral twists on stuff. We did Bruckner 4 one time. We did the finale to Bruckner 4, which is funny, but orchestrated for guitar, piano, 3 horns, 2 vocals. And so, yeah, I mean, it's been a really great creative process for me to just be in a space where anything goes. There's no rules. So it's just whatever you want to do, you do it, and people will, appreciate it. So, and that's kind of how it came about.
Man, that's awesome. Hey, so I have a question for you. So you went to Juilliard, mainly to study classical trombone. And you don't really see that many cats that go in studying classical music, like a Juilliard, and then start looking into, other styles like jazz. And I kind of remember when you started that transition too. So how was that? And what was your motivation to start delving into another genre while you're, focusing on your classical studies?
Man, what really got me was one day, because, jazz is all about finding your voice, right? And you transcribe all the cats to try to find your voice. And one day I just asked myself, I was like, well, who am I actually influenced by, from the core, from the root? And so I started thinking about like, okay, what did I grow up listening to? I grew up listening to a lot of R&B. My sister used to play a lot of like Mint Condition, SWV, all that stuff. And then obviously when we were in junior high school, the hip hop era was huge, like with Biggie and Tupac and Nas, the Fugees, and then the neo soul vibe that came in the late 90s. And then I was a big Boyz II Men and Music Soul Child fan too. So I guess like the way I diverged is I just started saying, I want to study that music. And that kind of got me into playing more keys and also like songwriting, because I love class, I love jazz, all that stuff, but it's not what I grew up listening to. And so I want to be influenced by that, but I feel like my voice is actually in some of these other styles. So I just try to figure out how to like put it all together. And that's kind of like part of the Qsound project too.
Ooh, I love so many good things there. So I want to dive a little deeper into that. I mean, you were going all down my lane, Marques, with Music Soul Child. When you said Fugees, I had actually forgot about the Fugees because Lauryn Hill broke off and had, her day. But you're right, the Fugees is where it started. Yep. And I think for a lot of us, particularly we as Black Americans, maybe there's a disconnect there, and you may or may not have felt that with what you grew up listening to, and then you go to the institution, and it's like, well, actually, we're doing this, and please don't bring that to your lesson. Was that an issue for you, or did you ever feel, especially at a school like Juilliard, where if that was discouraged, or is maybe that provided motivation for you to want to go down that path even more?
Oh yeah. Well, the funny thing about studying with Joe is that one of the first lessons I had with him, he was like, "You're work for me now. So I don't want to hear any of this jazz, this other stuff. Like, I just want to hear you playing excerpts." And that was cool. I totally respected that, because I think that it's important to study when you're studying stuff, like really try to get into it and like understand, all the history and the nuances, the vocabulary, get all the knowledge you can when you're studying for stuff, because as artists, it's important to, once again, keep your voice. And so when you study for those other things, it kind of adds depth to your voice, and it kind of helps you be better articulate how you want to say things. And so it was a bit tricky at first, but after a while, I just kind of figured like I have to play what's in my heart in order for me to really stay true, and I think that's for everybody. Everybody has to play what's for them to play. And I play what's for me to play, and that's cool with me.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. I like that. And I feel like a lot of students need to hear stuff like that too, because there's still like this thing where like, oh, no, you're focusing on this and that's all, and like shove all the other stuff to the side. So like that's a good perspective and great advice on how you went about doing that.
Yeah, and the fact that, whatever your folk or cultural heritage is valid, and those experiences and the music that you heard can actually be an asset to the classical tradition and the classical training, because you are a monster. Let's go there, just in case people don't know what you sound like. Yeah, You heard him. He studied at Juilliard, Joe Alessi, and he listens to Music Soul Child and the Fugees, so we already know what he sounds like. Let's talk about your transition. You mentioned a huge cultural shock from Malaysia, but let's talk about why you even went to Malaysia in the first place.
Oh man, I went to Malaysia because I was broke, and I was in my last year, or my second to last year, I think, at Juilliard, and I'll never forget this because I was on a tour, and Joe called me, and he was like, "Hey, what do you think about going to Malaysia?" And I was like, "What? Malaysia? Hell no, I ain't going to Malaysia." What is Malaysia? And so he called me back like a few. I didn't say that to Joe. Never disrespect Joe like that. But that's what I was thinking. And he hit me back. And the second time I was like, all right, cool. It could be cool, like to like travel to a different part of Asia and experience a different culture. And so I went, and I fell in love with it. Like, it's tropical weather. tons of beaches. The food is amazing, and it's got this really interesting melting pot culture where you just get so many different looks from different ethnicities. I mean, you guys have been here, and I just found a home over here, and I found a lot of love, and so that's where I kind of parked it for a minute. So.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. And we do like Malaysia a lot.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I hope soon other countries will let us come visit them. That's all I'm going to say. Can't imagine why they wouldn't want us to come.
We're not supposed to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, right. We're not talking about that.
That's for the bonus
You're
episode.
right. That's a bonus episode. Okay. So I'll let you go. Mark.
Yeah, so I have a question. And I've seen you do this. Like, you can sit in the orchestra playing principal trombone and lay it down, and then right when you leave the orchestra gig, then you go lead your own band like until 2 a.m. And not just playing trombone, but you're playing trumpet, you're playing piano, and you're singing. That transition's crazy, and I don't know too many cats that can do that. So, like, what is your thought process going from like playing like a Bruckner symphony to playing like, Qsound music, like 30 minutes afterwards?
Man, well, I appreciate you showing me some love on my trumpet playing because I still got ways to go. But I don't know, man. Like, to be honest, like, I love music. Like, I love music. And part of like the study, like I talked about, when you really discipline yourself into trying to figure out, what is classical music? Like, what is it to me? And then how do I put this vibe on classical music? Like, how do I put my culture and where I come from in classical music? And that for me, like that, I love that challenge. I love that, that mission because like, at the end of the day, like, we're as musicians, we're all artists, and our obligation is to try and, uplift the vibrations in the world. I mean, not to sound too, esoteric, but like seriously, like, especially nowadays. And so like the better that we can do that, I feel like we fulfill our missions. And it doesn't really matter the style, like as long as you like staying true to what you feel and you're playing with your heart and you've done all the work. I think that's really important. And so when it goes to like playing on the stage in the orchestra, I just try to bring that same vibe as I do when I go to play with Qsound because it's all music and I want the same results for both products. I want people to feel me in the orchestra. I want people to feel me when I'm playing with Qsound, and it's all love.
Man, that's inspiring. And just seeing you do it, is even more inspiring too. I mean, just a musician's musician for sure.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw you play piano, Marcus. I didn't know you played piano, so I was like, what he gonna try to do over there on that piano? And then I was like, oh, I guess I need a lesson because man, you have some chops too. So that's always impressive too. I mean, I think any of us who play, it's hard enough to master one instrument. Yeah. I mean, that's a real task if you become an expert on one instrument. But to be a multi-instrumentalist is like, it's godlike level. So amazing. And I really hope people can check you out and listen to all your stuff. So I'm going to switch lanes because Marcus is also an educator. I mean, just keep going down the list, like you hitting all the check marks. I'm curious. Well, first of all, I'll just let you tell them, where you teach and what you do as an educator.
So I teach in Singapore at the music conservatory called Young Sui To Music Conservatory. It's part of the National University of Singapore. We have a trombone studio. It's me and a fellow Juilliard graduate by the name of Sam Armstrong, who is the second trombonist in the Singapore Symphony. And so together we partner up and we have about 12 students, I think, this year. And the great thing about the program is that anyone that auditions and gets in is full tuition and plus a stipend, which is pretty unheard of in Asia right now. So it's a great project, great facilities. I mean, Martin's been there. And then you get to stay in Singapore, which is a really cool city. And we just Sam and I, we try to bring the stuff that we learned from Juilliard, and he went to Curtis and Juilliard. So we try to bring all that information over here to our students. And we're blessed enough to have students from all over the world. We have students from Chile, Brazil, I think it's Uzbekistan, Japan, China, Singapore, Malaysia, and I think there's Serbia. And we're trying to keep expanding the diversity of the studio every year and try to get more and more people abroad so that we can, just spread the message.
Man, that's amazing. And yeah, I mean, I've heard your students, a lot of times like students are extremely strong players too. So like they're very blessed to have you guys at Yangtze too.
So I'm just thinking about, our institutional experiences in our education, them being highly classically focused, yet having all of these different influences from culture, from American culture, from hip hop culture. Do you bring that into your teaching philosophy at the conservatory?
Oh, yes. Because one of the things you learn from studying like groove music is that I guess it reminds you, groove music like disco, hip hop, is that everything is always about like the dance and like the feel, And so once you get deep enough into that, you kind of feel like that translates through other styles. Like one of the things that always sticks out to me is Dvorak 9, the third movement, and it's kind of got like a nice backbeat where it's like and like you could, that's kind of like it's kind of got that vibe, right? so like I try to tell the students, I'm like, yeah, you can feel this so many ways. Like you can feel it, the standard way, or if nowadays everyone's kind of like definitely influenced by trap music in some kind of way, especially the younger generation, because Spotify and everything, playlists and all that stuff, which is another convo. Then try to find ways to like what I guess is like kind of what I said about me. Find ways to make your influences come into the music that you're performing. Because then it kind of helps you also be your own artist and have your own artistic approach, and kind of makes things a little bit more fresh too. So we try to bring that into the studio, and of course, obviously the stuff that we grew up, in the studio with Joe and learning things from different teachers. Martin's had some great stuff that he said. We try to incorporate everything and give everybody a different perspective, so that when they graduate, they're prepared to be musicians and just give in the best way that they can.
I like that. Yeah, and you're not trying to make like little mini Marques's or little mini Sam's, but you're like getting those different influences. Yeah, I dig that.
Now, I'm going to go one step deeper because I'm a pianist, and I feel like pianists are sometimes maybe on the higher end of the snobbery of classical music and not wanting other influences, okay? So and being two trombonists, I realized that y'all are a lot cooler than we are. You're a lot nicer. I'm wondering, do you get any pushback from your other colleagues who maybe don't have a lot of outside influences, who are really only and exclusively classically trained?
It's funny you say that, because I kind of have a motto that I live by, which is like, if it's real and it's authentic, people will feel it. And so like if I come into a situation personally and I'm not really playing authentically, and I know that like I'm not, because playing authentically, it does, like I said, it means some study. Like you got to be able to study, and you got to know the vocabulary of whatever language you speak in. So if that language is classical, and Mozart has his approach, Beethoven has his approach, and Stravinsky has his approach, like you got to have the fundamental right. But then like on top of that, you can garnish that fundamental with your personal touch. And so I feel like when they all meet, they're usually okay. They get it, because it's like they feel that like it's coming from a real place, and it's not trying to be pretentious or like trying to like tell you, about yourself. It's like, it's really just about love and like trying to like just share the vibe. And once you feel that vibe, you hear that vibe, and then it's usually pretty cool.
Yeah, man, you Nailed that. Golly. Yeah, that's amazing.
Okay, I'm gonna go tell my piano friends that next time when I try to use Drum Beats Plus. Like, feel this vibe.
It's all church music anyway.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, like, moving forward, like, what are you working on right now? Like, what are like some future projects on the horizon for Qsound?
Man, well, I just started working with this really dope rapper in Malaysia named Joe Flizzo. Joe Flizzo is like he's a really great artist. He's got a great team. He's a part of Def Jam, and he's built a really nice career for himself over here. And then we continue the live stream that we do every Saturday in probably February, and we'll start doing some building. Some ideas on that. So we'll like be using Qsound Music TV on YouTube to basically showcase a lot of different things that we're going to be doing, things that other artists are going to be doing. I've got like a nice collective of artists I'm working with. And so we're just going to kind of try to create a nice little movement over here of what we're doing. And on the flip side, I got a lot of music coming out. Finally, because it's been a couple years since I released anything properly. So finally got all the stuff ready. So we're going to release some singles and a lot of music videos. So definitely stay tuned to Qsound Music TV, YouTube.
Nice. Yeah, and if you haven't checked out his videos, like highly like well produced, but then also just sounds killing too. So check that out.
Okay, so I want to go towards advice for our listeners, but anyone who wants to do what you do so many things, you're so multifaceted. How do you do it all, though? Do you have a team? Do you have marketing agents? Like, seriously, I think that is where a lot of people get hung up. Is like, oh, I want to do all those things and I have all these talents, but how do I end up with a live every Saturday and a new album and a band? And, how do you do like the marketing aspect of Qsound?
I think everything is done with a team. It's taken me a while to build the team, but I have a new team that I'm working with now, and it's so beautiful because like we just did this Christmas special over the holiday, and I sat down on Friday, right, and I was like, guys, let's do a Christmas special, and they're like, all right. So like we came up with the concept and literally put it together in 3 days, and it was really fun to do, but it was also great to work with kindred spirits, and everyone was just on the right vibe. And so it's these type of things you really cherish because like you guys have been in the industry a long time too. Like it's not every day that you meet people that you can ride with and that they share your vision, and sometimes they don't mind doing it for free, just because they believe in the art and just what the message that you're trying to give out. Of course, like we all want to make money, and then that'll obviously come later. But just being able to do stuff for the right reasons is great. And so, yeah, you have to build the team. I finally got a really good team, and I think it's going to be a really special year this year.
Now, can you go one step deeper and tell us, like, what does the team comprise of? If somebody's like, how do I build my team? Where do I start?
That was a vague answer. My bad. Well, so every talent is different. For me, because my brain is like, I always tell them, I'm like, man, my brain is messed up. I don't know why, but like I have like a billion thoughts, and I need to be able to like throw them all on a wall, and everyone just be like, okay, I get what you mean. Like they'll piece it together, because you never want to feel inhibited by your creativity, and so they support me in that. So I have a brainstorming crew, so they allow me to just be like, blah, and they take whatever. And then I have a production management team who makes sure all the I's are, crossed, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and they make sure that all the formalities are covered. And so between the two units and then the band, who they obviously play the music, but we also have a couple guys who do video, One of the girls in the band does makeup. So it's kind of like a family thing, and we all kind of hang out. So it's taken some time to build the crew. But like if I was building a crew from scratch, I would look at the project that you want to do and look at yourself and see like what is it that you need to make the project fly the way you need it to fly. And different talents need different things. I mean, some people can work with a marketing person or PR person. There's this really dope rapper named Malaysia who we're linked up with, who's like a complete genius. And she doesn't really need a lot. She can do a lot on her own. So you should evaluate like what you are as a talent and what you bring to the table, and then see what you need to fill in the gaps, and find people that can fit those gaps for you, and they'll do it, with the love and all that stuff. That's what I think.
Man, he kills it again. This is inspiring.
That's what I was looking for. I was over here taking my notes. I got one more question. So how do you balance it all? I mean, I think even just a symphony job, an orchestra job, and a teaching gig is a lot.
And the teaching gig's in another country.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Oh, good. We're kindred spirits here.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, like, for me, like, I hate to sound like this, but like, I just love music so much that it's just what I like to do. I don't know what else I would do. Like, I really love it. So like when it comes to the time spent, it doesn't really feel like time spent, because it's like, I like sitting at the piano writing songs. I like playing trombone. I like learning jazz stuff. And it's all part of it. So managing the time is tricky at times. I think what I did when I was younger is I would segment my practice sessions into like 4 or 5 hour intervals. I talk to my students about this. I call it the practice matrix. And you basically build a practice session where you have like 1 hour the first session, and you take all the things that you feel like you want to improve or you want to develop into your voice, and you build a 5 hour practice session into those things, and try to keep it like as fundamentally based as possible. So for like trombone, I feel like the keys to being a good trombone player are like having a good airstream. So you got to make sure that like you're practicing things that makes you work on developing your airstream when you go down the slide and up in the pitches. You got to have a good sound. So you got to work on making sure you have good sound. You got to have good intonation, and you got to have good rhythm. And then lastly, you got to be able to play from the spirit. So you got to make sure that you're transcribing and working on music that touches you, so that you can have that feeling and try to recreate that feeling for other people to feel. And so when you have the matrix, then you just plug and play like, other disciplines. So like I'm gonna start learning guitar this year is my goal. So that you can write some great songs on guitar, man.
I think Marques has more than 24 hours in his day.
But you just like, you want to work on some piano voicing. So put that in as like an hour or 30 minutes, vocals in for like a 30-minute or an hour, songwriting, transcribe songs. I mean, you really just take a look at like, what is it that I want to do musically, and just put it into the day and like make it work. You don't have to do a ton every day, but you just have to be consistent.
Man, well, I will go back to the drawing board and try to figure out my life and my schedule.
Make
You're killing it. Me barbecuing, man. You need to teach me some barbecue recipes.
Yeah, the next set of masterclass series in barbecue.
Yes, sir.
So, Marques, this has been amazing.
Yeah, and Artina, you got that new album out too, right?
I do have that new album out. I was just thinking I need to learn some other skills on piano, as far as like R&B and jazz and gospel, things that I listen to, so I can be influenced by, my culture in my music along with classical. You inspire me, Marques. I'm gonna put in my matrix 1 hour for learning jazz chords and practicing improv.
Hey, let's inspire each other. That's all good, man.
Yes, yeah, especially in the times that we're in right now. I mean, that's all we can do is really inspire each other.
Sure. Sure.
Marques, thank you so much. Like, this has been amazing. Can you tell our audience like how they can find you, social media, websites?
Yeah, you can find me mainly on Instagram right now. Qsound Music, QSOUND MUSIC. And then check me out on YouTube, Qsound Music TV. Facebook is Qsound. And definitely got a lot of stuff coming up. So please follow me and see what's going on. It's going to be cool for sure.
Awesome.
So great. I feel like we also need a tip jar in the corner so people can drop coins for all the knowledge they learned today. Well, everyone, thank you again for tuning into the Elevate series with McCain Duo. We hope that you will join us in our next conversation, and have a great week. Bye.
Wow, that was awesome, right?
Yeah, Marques just always has so many great things to say. He's so chill about it too.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
We hope that you all enjoyed that, and go back and watch it again and take some notes, and make sure you share if you really enjoy an episode and you think, my friend could really use this. Send them a link, like it, tap that little bell so that you know when new videos drop.
Yes, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and you can check us out on our website, McCainDuo.com.
See you next time.